disease. It just dies because it needs water. And yes, they've got wheat varieties that can use a lot less water because they've had their genetics manipulated. But it doesn't mean something was wrong with the other wheat. And a lot of times in studies, somebody that has one disease genetically will end up having a higher IQ and other attributes and gifts in other areas. It's a very complex situation. But to say, oh, we're all collectivized, government-run health care, we all pay for the insurance of everybody, we have to certify. That's where this is all going. We have to certify through the genetic bioethics boards with genetic testing under law, they're now passing all over the world, that you're not allowed to have a baby because we're not going to pay for the fact that they're predisposed and have a serious, statistical chance of developing breast cancer. I mean, breast cancer is up, depending on the country, but the U.S. is #1 in the world. England's #2. When we take the trophy from each other each year, it varies year to year. And it's because of the bisphenol A, the estrogen mimickers. I mean, if a girl's going into puberty when she's 7, she's supposed to be going into it when she's 14, double that age. And these women have the breast when they're 40 of 80-year-old women because you've been bathed in estrogen your whole life. That's why male genitalia across the board are smaller. Sperm counts are smaller. Boys' genitals are not dropping. Just like ovaries, they're up inside you till you hit puberty. And then they start to drop down. They're not dropping till 15, 20, 25, 30 years of age now because these are little girls. These are not men. And the brain develops differently in utero with these hormones, and you have a quasi-female brain. The women have hyper-female brains, hyper-feminine, just bathed in high levels of estrogen mimickers, and it's killing them. And these women that are predisposed, that if they get estrogen mimickers, and they admit this, and it grows these breast tumors. Just like they have certain breeds of cows that they could feed the growth hormone to that wouldn't get cancer. And they knew other breeds you couldn't give it to. So they're trying to develop cows genetically that you can give all these hormones that won't die. It's the same deal. You put women on a whole bunch of these hormones, and they go into puberty at age 7, or they go into puberty at age 3 now. They have babies at age 5 now. Look it up. And those are extreme cases. You know, you've got puberty now coming down to the age of 10 for Western girls. It's supposed to be 14 or 15. 14 or 15, ladies and gentlemen. And I look at these little girls, and they look like women. It's incredible. And it's because of what is in the food, what is in the water. We try to feed our daughters nothing but non-GMO, really high-quality stuff, but they still end up eating meat and stuff and, P. Terry's hamburgers, whatever they claim are organic. And I was looking at my 9-year-old daughter last night, and she looks like she is 14. And now she's very athletic and in really good shape, and she's not going into puberty yet, but undoubtedly some of the stuff's passing through and getting to her. And my son eats so healthy that he's more masculine than any boy at the sporting events. I mean, he is just, he's going to end up being like 6'5". I'm like 5'11". He's already got giant muscular arms. I'm telling you, something's going on, folks. The environment is just chock full of unnatural stuff. And my son, we have him on a pretty serious exercise regimen. That's part of it, but he is just a total bruiser. And my 6-year-old daughter is a bruiser. And I look at little girls at the mall. You'll see their mother and their father. You can tell they're their biological parents, and they'll be 5'10", and their daughters are 6'3". And I'm telling you, folks, it's the GMO, it's the hormones, it's out there. And it's a serious situation. So let's continue reading this. Oh, disease-free designer babies, the headline. Oh, it's so wonderful. It's as good as Obamacare. It's as good as amnesty. It's as good as gun control. They're all total nightmares, but so what? The fruits of these people are death, folks. A new technology aimed at eliminating genetic diseases in newborns would combine the DNA of 3 people instead of just 2 to create a child. No, it's not a child. It's a biological humanoid mutation. And see, they're going to have rights for these people too, folks. Ted Nugent's in trouble calling Obama a mongrel, which they can claim has some racial connotation, and I guess it does, but so what? It's free speech. Obama's like a space alien, not a mongrel to me. The point is that what are these people that have had the government and big corporations go in and tinker with their genetics and combine 3 people? That's not a human. They go on to say potentially redrawing ethical lines for designer babies. The process works by replacing potentially variant DNA. See, it's potentially bad. It's not that all the GMO and chemicals are triggering the cancers and things. No. It's potentially variant, you understand? DNA in the unfertilized eggs of a hopeful mother with disease-free genes. Disease-free. They're saying your genes are disease. From a donor. U.S. regulators today will begin weighing whether the procedure used only in monkeys so far is safe enough to be tested in humans. Hey, sorry, the psychological, written by the Democratic Party, manual says if you don't like government, that's mentally ill. Oh, the genetics here show that he's going to be an aggressive leader. That's mentally ill. We're going to have to change those genetics. Who do they target with the Adderall and the Ritalin is the leadership males to burn their brains out with the amphetamine. Because the process would change only a small specific part of the genetic code. Yeah. Scientists say a baby would largely retain the physical characteristics of the parents. Still, DNA from all 3, mother, father, and donor, would remain with the child throughout the lifetime, opening questions about long-term effects for the generation. Yeah, when they have more kids and the mutation starts, and potentially the next. That's the key. Ethicists worry that allowing pre-birth gene manipulation may one day lead to build-to-order designer babies. It's already going on. I was there and Charlie Sheen decided to spin the sperm on his kids to make sure he had boys. And then you can argue, well, he only had girls before. He has a predisposition for girls. He wants boys. Yeah, but then where does it lead after that? Once you make this change, if a female arises from the process and goes on to have children, that change is passed on. So is it forever. Says Phil Yaskey, Chief Science Officer, United Mitochondrial Disease Foundation. Yeah, see, by the way, I never even read this article. I knew it would be all about the mitochondrial DNA. Said by telephone, that's uncharted territory. We just don't know what it means. No, we do know what it means. Massive mutation. Permanent change of human germline has never been done before. Yeah, it has in secret laboratories. And we don't know what will happen in the future generations. Oh, we have a really good idea. It's not going to be pretty. The Food and Drug Administration is scheduled today and tomorrow to explore the issue at a meeting with doctors and researchers scheduled to talk. The FDA will then decide whether to allow scientists at Oregon Health and Science University in Portland, who engineered the approach, to move their testing program from the macaque monkeys to women. Potentially, the procedure may cut off mitochondrial diseases that are passed down through females and occur in about 1 in 4,000 people. One example is Mila syndrome, which causes a person to have continuing small strokes that damage their brains, leading to vision loss, problems with movement, dementia, and death, according to the National Institutes of Health. And so opens the Pandora's box. And again, you have a Russian roulette. People don't even want to have kids because they're scared of Down syndrome. You got to roll the dice, folks. That's part of life. You got to roll the dice and jump on the Mayflower and go through, vomiting in the hull of the ship with rats to make it over here and have half the party die. And the last 2 British expeditions died before that, Jamestown and other areas. You got to take a risk. We don't know the genetic code. I mean, until a few years ago, and we knew this was a fraud, they said 98%. Or 96% of the DNA was garbage. Now they know it isn't garbage. And it's the entire genetic code of everybody before you, including other material that has the scientists becoming religious because their species never before seen in there, ladies and gentlemen. We are a master creation of the super being. Even if you don't believe in that, folks, I mean, at bare minimum, there's no way this all just magically happened in an ocean and that all this came together. All the top scientists are saying it's transpermia and off-world stuff. Bare minimum, folks. If you don't believe in God, believe me, we were made. There's stuff in the DNA that is flipping the system out right now. There is all sorts of stuff in there. And it's incredible. And they're going to go in there, and we're going to let the establishment, with all their social engineering and all their dirty backgrounds and all the things they've done, we're going to let them come into this, which is not transparent at all, because they proprietarily protect these companies and don't let people look into how they do it. They can hide anything they want. They've been caught doing it. This is an abomination. And it will be the end of us. If people wanted to voluntarily take their families and go onto off-world colony bases and do experimentation, I would think that's reasonable. If you want to sign on to be an experiment and do this, I think that's your issue. But you cannot do this here on this planet with a dumbed-down public that doesn't even understand what's happening. And again, I go back to what I said earlier. The elite can't even run nuclear power plants right. They can't run basically anything right. Sure, the elite are pretty smart compared to the general public, but you're not that smart. And I just can see that we're really going to destroy the planet here. This is not a good move. And I don't fear for my own body or even my own children. I fear for the species itself, because I'm committed to this species, and I admire this species, and I thank God for creating us. Your phone calls, Kevin, Matt, and many others, are straight ahead. Please stay with us. Here's some interesting headlines. We've talked about sports being fixed. FBI believes alley fight fixed by mob 50 years ago. That's in the Washington Times. Ralph Nader calls Obama the executioner, killing U.S. citizens outside of law with the drones. Some of the news up on Infowars.com right now. Revolt against Western banker takeover of Ukraine grows. Ukrainians demand Second Amendment in new constitution. The secret appears Morgan termination revealed. That's a video report. Secret U.S. government watch list forces companies to place hold on orders. That's a big deal. I'm going to cover that in the next hour after calls. Man assaulted by Maryland police for filming. Arrest. And a lot more up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Another top banker's been found dead. That's happening every couple of days now. Here's my final point on the designer babies. We're all living in a giant globalist experiment. They're trying to basically get us out of reality and insert us into their controlled television, psychotronic, positronic, smart grid. And we're in the clutches of really hardcore predators that think we need to be exterminated. And they're on record saying that. And most trendies you talk to go, well, there are too many people. Well, even if you believe that, you're in the crosshairs, dummy. And, they'll beg for their lives when they're dying of cancer. But right now, they're just shuffling around watching, sitcoms and dramas, and everything's funny to them. And it's just really disgusting. It's really weird to see a false reality being brought down upon us and to see the general public not aware of it. But I do see some major signs of awakening, and that's a positive thing. Okay, you've been holding a while. Appreciate it. Kevin in Canada, you're on the air, then Matt in the UK and others. So go ahead.
So, Alex, I got a beef I want to settle with you. So the beef that I have is I've been listening to you for 17 years, longer than I've even known my wife. I think I got a pretty good read on you. The problem is your operation is starting to seem more and more like a church, where there's tons of preaching and money-making, but not a lot of change. And before you respond to that, Alex, I just want to say one more thing. Jesse Ventura, Larry Pratt, Max Kaiser, whenever they are questioned about you, they don't stand behind you like you stand behind them.
Well, I don't even care what people say bad about me. And I've heard Jesse say a lot of nice things about me on different shows and things. And I've heard Kaiser say a lot of nice things without me even looking for it. But if someone attacks someone on one of my views, I don't expect them to defend something that they disagree with. But look, I'm going to put you on hold for a minute. And I'm going to come back to you. But I'm going to try to respond to what you just said. None of us are perfect, number one. Number two, I cover